Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. So we have been missing from YouTube for the last few weeks, and the reason for that is we have been working on the inside of the house remodeling a bathroom, and I haven't gotten any footage of that because this is Hometown Acres, tractors and chainsaws and firewood, right? Not tractors, chainsaws, and bathrooms. So I didn't get any footage of that project, but I do have a before picture for you and a somewhat after picture. It's not completely done. We do have, the tub in, the flooring done, the cabinets in. We just have a little bit of finished work to do with getting the granite countertop in, getting the fixtures all hooked up, and then we'll be done with that. And we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. So another thing I wanted to show you was just how useful having a dump trailer is. Instead of having to go and rent a dumpster roll-off, we were able to just use our dump trailer here for our demo. And we still have quite a bit of room left in here, so I'm going to go ahead and try to fill this up before we take it and dump it out. But that's another reason we haven't made any videos for the last few weeks, is because some of my firewood equipment has been used for the bathroom remodel project. So we're going to go ahead and finish filling this dump trailer up, and then we're going to go ahead and take it, dump it, and that'll free it up for firewood. And that's the point of today's video, is we have a new piece of firewood equipment coming to the property today, and it's going to make firewood fast. So we definitely need to get this dump trailer emptied out so we're ready to go ahead and throw firewood into it. So here's what we're going to go ahead and top off the dump trailer with. The plastic bladders out of these IBC totes that we use for firewood. Normally I get rid of those bladders one at a time in our weekly trash. I don't want to overload the trash, guys. But seeing as how we already have a dump trailer, the dump trailer that's half full, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all 4 of these bladders at one time. I've got my dad down here to give me a hand loading them up. We're going to use the side-by-side to take them up to the house because we're all the way in the corner of the field and the house is up there, and this field is pretty bumpy. The side-by-side has suspension and the tractor does not, so it's just going to be quicker to load them up in the bed here, take them up to the house, than it would be with the tractor. Here we go. All right, so we got 4 baskets opened up here. Now these aren't completely done. I still have to cut the face out of them so I can reach in there to stack wood. But at least we got the bladders out, got them in the dump trailer and got rid of them. And then we've got 3 empty baskets sitting down here by the splitter, and we've got our dump trailer emptied out over there. So between all of our empty baskets and our dump trailer, we have room for about 3 full cords of wood here. And then we're all loaded up and ready to go pick up what we're getting today. Why are we taking the tractor? Where are we going? What are we getting? I don't know, but it's probably going to be pretty cool. All right, so we are at our destination, the most famous firewood delivery service in the world, Joe with Ohio Wood Burner. How's it going, Joe?
It is going great, Adam. Thanks for coming out.
So Joe here is sponsored by Yappa and Metza Machines out of Wisconsin. And earlier this year, you got your Yappa 365 all tricked out with a live deck and a longer conveyor. And then they also brought you to test out for a couple of months this Yappa 315 PTO powered firewood processor. And Joe and I have become pretty good friends since we came and visited him last summer. We talk probably 3 or 4 times a week on the phone. And I said, hey Joe, what are you doing with your extra Yappa 315? I said, you've got this 365 here. Do you really need two? Can I take that 315 off your hands for a couple months here and try it out? And so Joe was gracious enough to call Bob Nelson at Metza Machines and ask if it was all right if I borrowed it for a little bit and made a couple of videos with it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a look at this Yappa 315, get it loaded up, take it home, and we're going to put it through its paces as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're gonna be blown away.
Yeah.
By it. You know, it is PTO powered.
Yeah.
This goes on the back of your 3-point hitch.
Yeah.
PTO power. It's transportable. You can move it wherever you need, and it's got that 7.5-foot conveyor on the side, so that can just feed nicely your trailer. Yeah.
I think you're going to start to see a lot of similarities between my channel and Joe's, because we're both going to have red and orange equipment in our firewood yards.
Yeah, we are both we both have the Easton made Axis. We are, I guess you could call us Axis allies.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. All right, so Joe, show me a little bit about this Yappa 315 before I get it home and realize I don't know how to run it.
Sure. This is the back side of the machine, so your tractor is going to back up to it. You got your 3-point hitch, but this can also run off of your 3-point hitch with just connected with your drive shaft.
So you don't actually have to take the time to kick your 3-point hitches in and get it all hooked up. You can just jam the drive shaft on and get it running.
Yeah, or if you've loaded logs, you know, to get it loaded, and then you've run out of logs and you want to move more with your tractor, you can let your machine stay where it is.
Yep, just unhook the PTO and go around and grab some more
so
logs.
It sets balance, it's got its own supports, it's not going to tip over like that.
When we first started talking about this, that was my biggest concern was, well, you've got your PTO powered machine here, but then you lose, because you've got it hooked up to your tractor, you lose your ability to move logs. But the fact that you don't have to hook this up and you can just do the PTO is pretty nice.
When it is on your 3-point hitch, it's not that heavy. I think it weighs 1,500 pounds, and you know, you can feel it, but it's not, you know, it's not like it's, you know, it's taxing your tractor.
I think that would still be light enough that both my tractor and your tractor would be able to move it around with the forks too, if you really wanted to.
Yeah, well, we unloaded this off the flatbed with forks.
Yeah.
So yeah, the tractor is able to pick it up. It runs a lot wider than the footprint of your tractor, and the first time I moved it around, I knocked over like an entire row of wood because I didn't know that this was sticking out so far. This side sticks out farther, you know, because of the conveyor.
Right.
Than this side. But come on around to the other side. I'll show you the business end here. Processors. You know, the benefits with processors is that it'll run the full length log through it. So this has a log lift because they're kind of heavy to pick up.
Right.
So this is built into the machine, and this is in transport mode, and it's already in the upright position. But you know, it comes right down. You just pull the pin, and it's on a shock absorber, so it comes down
nice and slow and controlled.
And this is how you lay your log on this cradle. You have your handle that picks the log up, and then when the log comes in the upright position, this is acting as, you know, support for the tail end of the log.
Right.
The other part to get connected is the infeed, but this is just held up with a spring-loaded latch, and you set this in the notch, and you're ready to start making firewood.
So less than what, 60 seconds?
Yeah.
And you're ready to go. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think you're still limited on the length of the log that you can pick up, because if it's too long, it's going to be...
Your balance point is only maybe 10 feet off.
Yeah, but you know, if you load the butt end of the log first, it's going to...
Get your heavier end on this
you'll
side.
Be balanced, so you can put in a longer log, but after you run it, you develop your own sense on what you can and can't get away with.
Right.
And you'll figure it out. So this one is manual controls. Mine is hydraulics. You know, everything on it is hydraulically controlled. This is manual. So pulling down the lever engages the saw, and when you are done cutting, when you push up, that makes the ram come out for your splitter.
Right.
And then when you push back a little bit farther, that engages your infeed. So you can be splitting, infeeding your next cut, and then when the ram is retracting, you can start cutting your next log.
Right. So get a close-up of this. They got a nice little diagram here that kind of shows you how it's geared and what position does what.
what I've learned about processors, these European style processors have a lot of safety features built in. When the hood is closed, everything works.
Right.
The moment you lift the hood, it shuts down all of the hydraulic flow. So you can't get cut by the chain. You can't get your hand, in trouble with the ram coming out up against the knife. This is, what's neat though, is this is just, 13-inch bar and chain. It's standard Oregon chain. It's nothing exotic. You can buy it at any saw shop in your area.
Now, how would you say, with the PTO power of a tractor and the hydraulic pumps in this machine, how would you say this chainsaw here compares to a regular handheld chainsaw?
Yeah, well, it is just going to be more efficient because you're cutting under ideal conditions. The log is well secured, and you can control the pressure that you're putting down on it.
Right.
If it is, a harder species like hickory or ash, you can feather that versus, silver maple, something soft where you can really cut through it pretty quick.
And you probably have a better feel for when your chain is getting dull as well. Instead of a hydraulic, you can actually feel how much pressure is required if your chain's getting dull.
You can feel it, but you can also use the same thing, the size and the quality of the chips that are coming out the back of it.
Right.
It's the exact same thing. When mine, there's no in between. You can tell when the chain's gone south on it. It just quits cutting.
Yeah.
So it's time to change. But this changes just like a chainsaw. It's got 2 bolts and an adjuster.
Okay.
All right. So it has bar and chain oil, nothing exotic, and this is on a piston pump. So working the lever up and back gets the oiler flowing.
Okay.
This has a positive stop. You can adjust the length of your logs to any size that you want. If you want to get, I think it goes as short as 10, but I have it set on 16-inch right now. So every log that you cut is consistent in length and size. And if you're into making, a nice value-added firewood, first having the exact consistent lengths is a big deal.
That's the biggest thing when you're delivering to a customer and you stop and stack it. If you've got a nice flat wall of firewood, it just looks nice. Versus if you've got, ends poking out here and there throughout the stack, it looks a little more rinky-dink. That's one thing I've noticed with how I've been doing firewood so far with, the tractor and a chainsaw, is no matter how hard you try, you still can't get exactly 16 inches.
No,
You're a half-inch one way or the other. And then when you go to put your bundles together, they don't look perfect,
Sure.
And I like to sell products that
especially
look nice.
if it's a big round log. If you start cutting down it, if you're not exactly perpendicular, you could be 2 inches off at the bottom versus the top, and then you got some weird shapes. So the Yappas too, these are built for speed, and the hold down for the log is really slick. It is just a spring-loaded flap, and if you look at the infeed, it's on an angle sloping in towards this back wall, which is angled towards it. So the log is getting squeezed into this corner.
Right.
And then when the chain comes down, the force of the cutting is also pushing it into it.
Right.
And there's no release of the clamp in between each cut. It just slides right through to the next cut.
Right.
So it really is a fast machine. If your experience with firewood is a chainsaw and a splitter, this is gonna run circles around. You're gonna wonder, what the heck, where have I been, where has this thing been my whole life?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying it out.
And then the last thing, which becomes a big deal, is your outfeed. And this is a 7.5 foot outfeed, and it's at the right height for me. It shoots right up over the side of my dump trailer, and I got boards on the side of it. And it runs a constant speed. You can't slow this down or speed it up. Here is the first thing I learned with a firewood processor, because I got into firewood just like everyone else. I seriously had a pull-in and a pickup truck, right? And I just kept growing and growing, and the money, everything I made in firewood, I would put back into it. The first processor I had, you're going to be up to your earlobes in firewood before you know it. And you just can't go out and cut up wood with it like you do with a chainsaw. You have to have a process set up, otherwise it's not going to work right. So you got to have your supply, then you got your production, and then you have your outfeed, because where are you going to take all this firewood to?
Right.
The first thing I learned was I quit splitting wood onto the ground, because you got just this gigantic pile of firewood, and it just takes forever to get it moved. So now the only way we process wood is into the dump trailer, and we use our dump trailer as a wheelbarrow. Once it's full, we just take it right back to where it's getting stacked, and we stack it just like that.
I think now that you've got the tractor and you've got a set of pallet forks, you might be intrigued by the idea of those IBC totes.
Yeah, I have looked, okay, and
Yeah.
I've done a lot of, I am still interested in IBC totes. The bags, you know, I don't know. I am still not convinced on the bags because of how long we leave our wood seasoning. Is it going to make, especially with all this rain,
Right.
is it going to start molding in there? I don't know.
I've also seen people complain about those bags, you know, because you're stacking a loose product in them and they really don't have rigid sides like the steel IBC totes do, that eventually after time they'll start to want to tip over one way or the other, and then they end up falling out of the bag. All right, well anyway, let's go ahead and get the tractor unloaded, get this hooked up and get it loaded back up, and then hopefully we'll be back home this evening and we'll get this thing fired up and run a couple logs through it. All right, so we got the Yappa 315 all loaded up here. I don't want to waste another second. I want to get back on the road, get this thing home, and throw some logs through it. But I wanted to say thank you to Joe for kind of hooking us up with Yappa here for the next couple months. I don't know how long we're going to have this machine, but I promise to make good use of the time that I do have with it. If you haven't checked out Joe's channel, Ohio Woodburner, we've had a couple people that have commented before on our channel saying, stop pretending like you do firewood full time. And if you're a loyal subscriber, you know that I've always said we do this as a hobby, but if you do want to watch somebody who does firewood full-time, Joe here does firewood full-time, so go check out Ohio Woodburner. But anyway, we're gonna head home and get this thing set up and see if we can't get a log through it tonight.
Adam, I know you're gonna love this thing. It's gonna be a blast to run too, and I hope you have a safe ride home.
It's always good to stop over here, Joe. I can't wait to come over again.
You are welcome anytime, especially if you feel like stacking firewood.
All right, so that is the Yappa 315. We'll end up putting out a few more videos dedicated to this machine where we try to crank out as many chords as we can with it. I just wanted to play with it a little bit tonight and get a feel for the controls. But I am really excited to have this machine here because, as you can see, we've got quite the pile of logs. Now, with this machine, the maximum log diameter is 12 inches, so you've got to be a little bit more picky with what you put through it. However, that's the beauty of having this firewood processor and having the Easton made axis. Anything that is too big or too crooked to put through the Yappa 315, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way with the chainsaw and run it through the Easton made axis. But anyway, I think that's going to about wrap this one up. It is good to be back into the swing of things here on YouTube after taking those 2 weeks off to do that bathroom remodel project. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of this Yappa 315, do me a favor, click that subscribe button, give us a big thumbs up. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.